So I'm going to turn this over to Steven for a second to talk. He had given me some points that he wanted to cover, and I kind of broke them into two segments. One for front of the house managers. The first part is called operational thought, and the way I like to teach things is I like to teach kind of from a knowledge and a wisdom point of view. Knowledge is when you know about something or you know the technical aspect of something. The wisdom is how you apply that and how you apply your nuanced approach to things. Let's say from a drink or from a food prep point of view, I know what bourbon is. I know what strawberries are. That is sort of the technical side of things. The nuance side is, you know, with that bourbon, how do I make it into a cocktail like an old fashioned and make it appropriately balanced and whatnot? With strawberries or any other kind of food, it's like I know it's a fruit. How do I make it into a sauce, or how do I put it onto a dessert, or whatever the case is that makes it, use the flavors and use the balance in there and the sweetness and the acidity and things like that to complement whatever the dish is. So, Stephen, you want to take over for a minute and kind of go through your list here?
Good morning. So when Brian asked me to come up with some things, and he used actually the words nuance to me and operational, and so I didn't really know what he meant, and I thought about it. And nuanced, obviously, I think is my thoughts about restaurant management and a lot of stuff I've read, and everybody knows I've read Danny Meyer and Will Guidara, um, and I came up with 4 or 5 nuanced thing on what a manager needs to have to be successful. And it's not the end all and be all, but it's certainly my thoughts. And if you think about it, it works. Uh, Infectious attitude. When the manager comes into a restaurant or greets their staff, they need to have that infectious attitude. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Everybody great? You know, people joke with me because when they ask me how I'm doing, how I am, I have a stock answer. Never had a bad day in my life. And when a manager had a bad day and they walk around just like a server moping, it infects the staff. So that infectious attitude, if it's bad, it can infect the staff. But as a leader, it should be great. I'm sure the leader of Bank of America does not walk in moping around with his troops every day. Self-awareness. A manager has to have self-awareness, like a server does, and they have to. Nothing makes a manager more likable or more respected is when they admit a weakness, and and you know, I tell people that when I started in the business, I did not know red wine from white wine, and I tell them a story, and that's 100% true. So it helps you be a more realistic of a person. You self-reflect, and then you work on being better every day. And if you really take that in and do that, it's helpful. Charitable assumption is something you always hear me talk about in regards to the guest. When I reread Will Guidara's book at Chris Torla's suggestion, he talks about charitable assumption that he learned from Danny Meyer about assuming that the guest has the best intention. The What I always use is the woman who eats the salmon. She tells you at the end of the meal the salmon was not good; it was overcooked, and but the plate is clean, and you decide whether you take the salmon off the check or not. Some managers will say she ate the whole thing. She should pay for it. Charitable assumption is that she did not want a free meal. She was telling you that the salmon was good, and your assumption should be she's right. Take it off the check. We want to win in the big picture. What Will Guidara talks about is having that charitable assumption with your staff. And that's something I frankly had not really thought about until recently. So when your server comes in 10 minutes late, or your kitchen guy comes in 10 minutes late, and instead of barking at him, why the F are you late? God damn it, da 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 da. Start off with, are you okay? How come you're late? What happened? Is your car okay? Is your mom okay? What's going on? And then let them know that they shouldn't be late. And that's an example of what Will Guidara gave with charitable assumption with your staff. Find out what's going on with them. Talk to them. See why they're in a why they're walking around mopey, and then that'll help them snap out of it rather just saying snap out of it. Uh, my other big nuanced managerial thing is the long-term view of our success. Uh, Looking for the small dime, not the large nickel. Uh, and that goes on to as far as getting something promoted or getting people to come back, repeat guests. Our Max Downtown in particular, but I think all our restaurants are built on repeat guests. I don't really know the percent of Max Downtown's repeat guests, but I think it's going to be 60, 70%. And that comes from having great experiences. And it might mean that you um, you, you take their point of view when there's an issue with pricing. Whether that be that the whole protein added to a salad, whether it be a drink that they added this to and that to, and it comes up to $21 and it should be 15. Look, don't worry about the dollar so much. Think about the guest experience and where they're coming from. So long term view. Restaurant's been in business. We've been around for 39 years. I think we're going to celebrate our 40th anniversary next year. Uh, we have a lot of new young partners. Let's go. Let's look for another 40 years. Uh, Trust. You have to trust in your in each other. Trust in our managers. Trust trust their instincts, and as a manager, you need to trust your own instincts. If you're left there by yourself or you don't know what to do, trust your instincts. It's probably right, and trust your fellow staff when they tell you something. Verify, but trust. On the operational side of things, I decided there's so many things I could talk about. Obviously, I decided uh, to take the Achilles heel of Max of the restaurant that I operate, and where most of the problems come up, and that is at the end of service, late night. Um, you have people usually come into the restaurant, guests, late night that don't want to dine. They want to eat. They want to grab a bite and get out. They're coming from the theater. They're coming from, we have people downtown. They're coming from late night. You see their case briefs, these big briefcases. You can tell they're attorneys that are coming from court deposition or they met after court and they're not there to dine. They want to eat. And you have everything that can go wrong at that time of the night because the servers a lot of servers have been cut. The host may or may not have been cut. One of the managers might have left. Um, the expediters usually cut. The chef's probably off the line. The sous chef might be off the line. Um, and all these, and at the same time, you have people coming in that want to get fed fast. So what you need to do is be present. You should not be up in the office counting the cash outs at this time of night. You need to be, your presence on the floor at this time of night is probably as important as any other time of the day. And you need to be checking the bathrooms because your busters are busy clearing tables. And the bathroom might be dirty from all night if no one's checked. Is the linen and trash bags being dragged through the dining room and the bar? Happens all the time. I see it. It's terrible. If a manager's not there, it's going to happen. Something to be looking at. Is your staff, no manager presence, is your staff cozying up to the bar and maybe getting a drink? I know there's no staff drinking, but it might happen if there's no presence of a manager around. Managers cutting themselves. You're all lying to yourselves if you don't think it happens. Manager, all of a sudden, somebody's picking up another table. They have too many tables, and somebody gets sat, and a server, the host or manager seats a table, and there's no server there. Uh, Check on servers cutting themselves. Eating. Servers are hungry at the end of the night. So you have uh, you have an expediter cut, runner's cut. Chef is usually not there. You're upstairs in the office counting your cash outs. Servers are hungry. They're going to be eating. It's not appropriate. Servers like to hang out at the host stand at the end of the night. They either flirting with the cute host or they are trying to get the last tables. Not allowed. Get rid of them. Tell them to buzz off. Um, One of the things that can happen is that you're trying to build bar business and your bartenders are have decided there's people at the bar and they've decided it's the end of the night and they start wiping down the bottles and banging the bottles or throwing the empties away and back and picking up the bottle as hard as they can and throwing it into the trash can and making a ton of noise. Not acceptable. And bartenders can be your secret weapon in the end of night because hopefully during the regular course of your evening, as a guest leaves, everybody that they go by is turning around and saying, "Thank you, good night, thank you, good night," and they should be hearing that 3 or 4 or 5 times, 6 times at the host stand. Well, if your servers are cut or if they're busy at tables, they're not hearing that. Your last line of defense is that bartender looking up, seeing who's leaving, and saying, "Thank you, good night." So that's my operational issues for end of the night.